recipe that I've decided to demonstrate for you is called Wholegrain Waffles. Such a simple name, but it's just so true to what it is. One of the reasons for these wholegrain waffles is when you use whole grains, they've still got all the nutrients packed inside them. Once you grind them, then those nutrients are exposed. The longer you leave them sitting around, guess what happens?
They go rancid.
They go rancid and you're losing some of those nutrients. So today I brought in my grinder. This is a stone grinder. There's just two stones in there that are going round on top of each other. So it's a cold grind. So to start with, I mix half a cup of amaranth, which is an ancient grain. It's high in protein, and being a whole grain, it's also got plenty of fibre in it. So I'm just going to get my bag open. Let's pour that in here. Now I mix all my grains in my grinder first, and the reason being is if I mix it, when I put my rolled oats in, they all grind to a really fine powder. This is half a cup of quinoa. Now quinoa is a kind of a superfood because it incorporates all of its amino acids, so it's a complete protein. We have half a cup of brown rice, and honestly, if you've got different grains at home, you can use whatever grains you use. It doesn't have to be these grains. This is just what I had in my pantry, so that's why I made this recipe. And then 1 cup of rolled oats, and rolled oats just keeps the texture a little bit lighter. That's why I kept away from wheat, but I have made these with wheat before as well. Right, so putting all of them in there together, and I just stir them through. So, because if I put the oats through on their own, I always have to grind it at a half fineness, which just makes them a little bit more coarse. But if we can go to the tightest setting, then we get a finer flour. I'm only going to do this for a really short time because it's really noisy. Oh. No, it's not going to work for me. It's because my amaranth was in the bottom and it's really little. But afterwards, if you want, you can just come in and feel that grain and feel how smooth it is. I cheated and I already milled mine last night though, so I didn't have to mill it all for you today. So all those grains are freshly milled and smell amazing. So here's my pre-milled flour. If you don't have a mill at home, you can try using your blender. You just may not want to use rice because rice is so high. The other grains would probably blend up into a flour in your blender. So just choose another grain. And if you can't use that, you just buy the flours. But just be mindful that if it's half a cup of whole grain, it equals about 3/4 of a cup of flour. So you just need a little bit more. So to those dry ingredients, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. One teaspoon of baking powder. Now baking powder is completely optional. I was not brought up with baking powder, but putting baking powder in just gives it a little bit more of a rise and a lighter texture, so absolutely optional if you want to use that or not. Just 1 teaspoon. 1 mashed banana. I use the banana to kind of, instead of eggs, it kind of creates that lightness and a little bit of sweetener. And I didn't bring a fork, so I'm going to steal one out of here. Just bear with me. That's why I brought my picnic bag. With the banana, I mash it to quite a fine consistency, unless you particularly want lumpy bananas through it. And if you use a really spotty ripe banana, it's going to make your waffles stick because of the sugar content in it. So you probably want to keep your banana smaller and maybe a little bit more on the green side. Let's just make it quite smooth and add that. Let's add a teaspoon of vanilla, normally a dash. I'm a cook that tries to eliminate dishes, so I just keep averaging things. I'm going to go with 1 tablespoon of stevia. This stevia is not as intense as some stevias, so that's why I've noted the brand down. This is just one that you can get at the supermarket, and you can use it basically same amount as sugar. So if you put 1 teaspoon of sugar and you'd use 1 teaspoon of this stevia. Some stevias you use, I wouldn't even think of doing that because it would be so overpowering. So just be careful what stevia you use. And then we just add our milk. So we need 2 cups of almond milk. You can use soy milk, you can use rice milk. I don't have a cup, so I'm just going to pour it into about 2 cups. Because it would make more dishes. And we're just looking for a pancake consistency. The rolled oats will make a porridge consistency. So sometimes you might need to add extra water, maybe you don't need as much. Depends on what grains you're using. And then I normally just use water to top it up to get the right consistency on that. You do have to whisk it quite well because you will end up with lumps. So if you're making pancakes and you want really thick pancakes, leave the mixture thicker. Or if you want nice thin ones, just water it down. And there, I was going to put in the waffle iron, but my waffle iron's not hot, so instead of going through that mess, I'm just going to leave that there. You all know how to tip a mixture into a waffle iron, I'm sure. And I cooked this recipe for 8 minutes, and it's cooked through. I don't use a full temperature on my waffle iron, I normally just button it off to about 3/4. And that allows it to cook through to the middle as well. So that's the waffles, and you get to try some down the back afterwards, but I'm just going to quickly demonstrate the spread that I put on top of them. This is called a 4x2 berry spread. The reason for that really heavy name is that it has 4 ingredients and it's got 2 portions of each ingredient. So here I've got 2 cups of frozen berries and I've defrosted overnight. Normally I would use frozen berries, put them in a pot and put them on a low temperature on the stove just to melt them down. And that cooking process normally softens the berries enough that you can mash them with a potato masher. So I've particularly chosen raspberries today because they're going to mash up reasonably well, just defrosted without having to be cooked, because they break up. So it's 2 cups of berries, 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. So you don't need a recipe for this, you can remember it. 2 tablespoons of stevia, and you can totally adjust this if it's too sweet or whatever, it's just what I like. And then it's 2 dashes of vanilla. Or, oh, it was a bit more than 2 dashes.
That was too low.
And then this is just seriously mixed up. If you are going with defrosted berries, it's going to take a lot longer for your chia seeds to activate. But last night when I was doing it with my hot berries, it activated like within minutes. Because the chia seed's going to swell of that liquid, absorb it, which is going to make the jam consistency. So this is super easy. If you can remember 4x2, you've got it. So and that will last in your fridge probably about a week, but it's if it doesn't get eaten, because it doesn't last in my fridge. And I made these pancakes for my nephews and my nieces the other day. They were just gone. I took them to boot camp that I go to. They were gone, so they're good and healthy and they should last you for a while. Help yourself to some samples down the back there. I've got blueberry jam, strawberry jam and raspberry, so have a try. Thank you. Thank you.